So here's what you will see today. You're going to learn how to reprogram your body to feel and act 10 years younger. And for that, I'm going to show you 3 really important keys. The first one is you will get to know the only scientifically proven diet that helps to prevent and reverse the diseases with the highest mortality in the world, so that you can give not only years to your life, but also life to your years. On the second key, you're going to discover the secret from thousands of years ago that allows you to regain your physical and mental health. And on the third and last key, you're going to put to work this really important key that will make you reach your health goals easily and successfully. Firstly, I would like you to imagine your life in 10 years' time. So please close your eyes now for 1 second. And firstly, take one deep breath. And I invite you to visualize, imagine in your mind where you are, how your body feels, what you see when you look in the mirror, what is your ideal routine, who are you with, what are your priorities. Take your time to observe it, assuming that anything is possible. Slowly you can open your eyes. And with what you saw in mind, I would like to tell you that it's never too late. And that is not only living more years, but it's to what I call have life to those extra years that you will be living. And with this, I mean reaching your 50s, your 60s, your 70s with habits already formed and with complete freedom of movement to be independent and to avoid depending on doctors, medication, perhaps your family members, to be able to play with your children, with your grandchildren, go on adventures with your friends without pain and without limitation. Not to think that your life finishes when you are 60 years old. Think that you have so much more to live at that time of your life. And now think about this. What would happen if you put your physical and mental health as your number one priority from today? Well, I will give you some examples. You wake up each day with energy and motivation to start your day with enthusiasm. You have your desired physical state and control over your emotions and thoughts and can manifest the life of your dream effortlessly. You have fewer worries and therefore more quality time to spend with those you care about, doing hobbies that you have put aside, and have more time to help your community or those causes that really matter to you. Is this something similar to what you had pictured in that visualization we just did? And without further ado, let's go to key number 1, which is nutrition. We'll get to know this diet that prevents and reverses the diseases with the highest mortality. Firstly, a few mistakes we make when we try to take care of ourselves, which is follow a fat diet, such as low carbohydrates, paleo, reduced calories, and then get frustrated because you didn't get the results you're looking for. Not knowing how to handle stress and emotions and go to food or bombard your friends and acquaintances with your problems. We've all done this, me included. And not bothering to change habits because you think you're still young or you're too old or you think it's in my genes. I can do anything about it. Well, it's completely normal for you to have done this. You know you should take care of your health, but there's so much information online that you end up mal-informed. You have tried thousands of things without consistency or results. Well, it's completely normal because no one has taught you how to eat well. No one has taught you how to exercise, how to manage your stress, how to know when someone is trying to trick you with a miracle diet or supplement. And in addition, each person is unique, and some general recommendations may not be suitable for everyone. But don't worry, because in these 3 keys, I will offer you the solution. But first, I'm going to show you 2 really important factors that you should know about. The first one is metabolic age, which is your body's real age. If this is lower, and you can measure it, it's lower than your chronological age, is a good sign. That means that if your chronological age is 40 years old, but your metabolic age is 30 years old, it means that your body is 10 years younger than your actual age. And if it's higher than your chronological age, then it's a bad sign, it's a sign of premature aging. And this is an indicative of having an active and healthy lifestyle. And why I'm telling you this is because I will take a weight off your shoulders. It is possible to reverse the metabolic age. Our healthy habits is what do it. And it's never too late to implement them. So it's not an excuse anymore that I'm too old or too young. It doesn't matter, at any age you're able to reverse your metabolic age. And the second concept is epigenetics, which is a relatively new science. And what epigenetics found is that the genes are expressed or not depending on the circumstances or the environment. And what are these circumstances? There are things like nutrition, say smoking, stress, exercise, inflammation. All of these markers are able to switch genes on and off. And these modifications are reversible. For example, if I have a family history of colon cancer, but I eat a diet super high in fiber, super high in antioxidants, I exercise, I look after myself, those genes might never turn on. Do you get me? So here you see on this graphic, so all of these circumstances like diet, stress, exercise, activate or inactivates the genes, and that gives place to the phenotype, which is what you see outside in your body. So with this, I will take another weight off your shoulders, which is that our genes do not determine our health. Our healthy habits do. And one more time, it's never too late to implement them. So with that, now that you know that it's possible to reverse your metabolic age and change the expression of your genes, how to do it to prevent that cellular aging? Of course, with a diet as the main key. And more specifically, with the whole foods plant-based diet, which consists on mainly unprocessed foods, mainly plant-based, which includes vegetables, fruits, legumes, grains, seeds, algae, and nuts, and with little or none animal products or processed foods. And what does it contain that makes it so special? So, as we mentioned, minimally processed foods, which means they're very dense in nutrition. So, with a few calories, you get a ton of vitamins, minerals, fiber, precious antioxidants, anti-inflammatory compounds. It also contains zero cholesterol and phytosterols, which are the cholesterol of the plants, which actually help to lower our own cholesterol. So, they're like plants are natural medicine for sure. Those anti-inflammatory components, as we know, inflammation is a marker for most, if not all, of chronic diseases. So it's super important that we help to manage that inflammation. It also contains high fiber content. We are 3 times more bacteria than cells in our body. So of course we want to have friendly bacteria that will help us with all of the processes in the body. And fiber is only found on plants. Of course, high antioxidants and phytonutrients. One more time, those phytonutrients are nutrients specific to the plants. They are also pigments, which means they're colors, and that's why they always say eat the rainbow, because different pigments, different phytonutrients have different antioxidant effects in the body. And again, these ones are unique to plants. You can only find them there. One example is the anthocyanins of the blueberries, or resveratrol in red grapes. You have lycopene from tomatoes, beta carotenes, which is the orangey colors of carrots and mangoes. And here I have a graphic, and I try to sum up the complexity of the body in this tiny graphic, which basically our bodies are in constant damage and repair. So what we want to do is we want to give the body those nutrients that is going to help to repair them, which are those fiber, antioxidants, phytonutrients, anti-inflammatory compounds, and at the same time, we want to avoid those things that damage it, such as cholesterol, pro-inflammatory animal protein, lack of fiber, low density and processed foods, all of those things. And thinking of it in a logical way, By choosing to consume an animal product is a missed opportunity to consume a plant product, which is loaded with those anti-inflammatory nutrients, antioxidant, and precious fiber that helps to repair the body. Again, we want to tilt that balance towards the repair. And of course, I will give you the 3 reasons why a plant-based diet is the best for reversing your metabolic age according to studies. All of the studies I mentioned, by the way, you can find in PubMed. And if you're curious about any of the studies, make sure to write it down. And when we have our call, I will tell you, of course, where I got them from. So reason number 1 is that it prevents and reverts the world's deadliest diseases, which are cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, and cancer. Of course, we can add a ton of others like digestive and hormonal problems, autoimmune and skin diseases, and a really long etc. But for the sake of time, we're only going to focus on these 3. So the first study I want to show you is the Adventist study. Why? Because it is the largest study of its kind ever conducted anywhere in the world in all of history. There was almost 100,000 participants. The results were that the vegan diet gave a protection against obesity, hypertension, diabetes, and mortality from cardiovascular disease. Huge. I want to highlight that this is long term. You can try any diet or any miracle supplement, but you have to think, have there been studies done long term? You might find the benefits short term, but what happens on the long term? It could actually have the opposite effect. So it's really, really important to be conscious of this. On this second study, this is a meta-analysis, which means it's a study of all of the studies done about a topic. The plant-based diet offered a protective effect against the incidence and mortality of heart attacks, and also protective effect against total cancer. And what's the story with carbs? I had to include this study because there's such a hate for carbohydrates lately, and I want to show you that this study shows that the higher the consumption of whole grains, which people fear a lot lately, there's a lower incidence of mortality, and especially for cardiovascular disease. So please do not fear carbohydrates. They are absolutely amazing. Again, if you choose the whole version of the foods and try to avoid the refined version and the processed version. And what's the story with inflammation? So on the other hand, there is an inflammation marker. It's called ATF1, and it's been shown that animal protein increases this inflammation marker, which again is one of the biggest promoter of aging and cancer. So yet another reason to avoid it as much as possible. And on this study, they were thinking if there's a way to reverse cardiovascular disease. And of course, they discovered that whole foods, plant-based diet could stop and in some cases also reverse the deadliest disease in the world. It's quite impressive. And remember that it's never too late and your body can always heal if, again, we help it with all of those repairing nutrients. And of course, there's many more studies. So again, if you're curious to learn more, do let me know and I can send all of these to you. And to sum up, you can eliminate more than 90% of your risk of developing diabetes, more than 80% of your risk of having a heart attack, and reduce your overall risk of cancer by more than a third. And for some cancers, such as colon cancer, so related to diet, up to 71%. And if that was all that a whole foods plant-based diet could do, reverse our deadliest disease, shouldn't it be the standard diet until proven otherwise? Now, food for thought there. Reason 2, lose weight effortlessly. And who doesn't want to hear about this? So weight is linked to disease and premature aging. And a whole foods plant-based diet is high in fiber and water. And guess how many calories fiber and water have? 0 calories. It's really bulky, which means you can eat a lot. It has a lot of nutrition, and you don't get full because it's low in calories. And everything is explained on this graphic. So here's the caloric density of 400 calories of oil, 400 calories of beef, and 400 calories of vegetables. As you can see, it fills up your stomach, you are fully satisfied, you have a ton of nutrition, and you don't put on weight. And of course, here's one study, the Oxford study. And as you can imagine, they found that vegans had the lowest BMI, body mass index, which is the weight in compare to your height. And the diets high in protein and low in fiber, of course, were the opposite, where they found populations had the highest weight. Reason three, sustainability. You're probably thinking, Anna, why are you mentioning sustainability when we're talking about health? Well, firstly, it's been more than proven that animal products represent a higher emission of harmful gases that damage the planet and also pollute the waters. And we need a healthy planet to be healthy. It doesn't matter that I exercise, that I eat whole foods plant-based, that I'm not stressed. If I go out for a walk and there's so much pollution in the environment that I cannot breathe, if I cannot have water that I can drink, as much as we have to take care of our first house, which is our body, equally we have to look after our second house, which is our planet. And I believe because of this, it's also a diet or more so a way of life with a greater success rate and fulfillment. Since you have a greater reason, you're not just doing it for your body, which is already like, a good enough reason, but you're doing it for a bigger cause. You're doing it for the planet, for the future generations. If you look up online, you can find a vegan calculator. And here I show you what you save if you go plant-based for just 1 month. So you save almost 130,000 liters of water, 543 kilograms of grain, 273 kilograms of CO2. You save 84 square meters of forest, and you save the life of 30 animals. So it so happens that the most ethical diet turns out to be the most respectful diet with the environment, and it turns out to be the healthiest. The wisest words by Dr. Michael Greger. These four reasons is why, as an evidence-based nutritionist and an individual worried for the planet, I could not recommend another lifestyle, and why I'm dedicating my life to this cause and to showing this to others. So we end with the first key. Now you know how a plant-based diet prevents and reverses diseases to keep you young and healthy. And moving on to the second key is a movement, but it's not just normal movement, it's movement with conscious. It's traditional yoga. And of course, there's a lot of different types of yoga, but yoga is much more than a physical exercise session. It's a culture. And yoga should always include relaxation practices, meditation, breathing exercises or pranayamas, mudras, which are the signs with your hands, and mantra chanting, such as the universal mantra Om. So that's why it's suitable for absolutely everyone, regardless of your flexibility levels, the age, diseases, etc. Because for yoga, the only exercise that is required to practice is to be present. And of course, I'm going to show you a few studies. This one about yoga and longevity, which is what we're all about, show that yoga decreases DNA damage and oxidative stress. There's less telomere shortening, which are the end sequences of our DNA. And it pretty much means that it is an amazing anti-aging. On the same study, talking about physical state, it improves mobility, flexibility, strength, and balance, which is exactly the things that we want as we're getting older. It reduces the risk of falls because of this. And the benefits are shown, with only 45 minutes a week for 8 to 12 weeks. That's absolutely impressive. It also produces structural changes in the brain, which means it prevents cognitive decline. So it improves memory and it keeps your brain younger as well. And this study is a little bit more focused on meditation. And it showed that it obtained a reduction of blood pressure, stress hormones, inflammation, and triglycerides, which are a risk factor for cardiovascular disease. So as we've seen, like, yoga does work on the physical level. Yoga is much more, again, than just exercise. Yoga is unity. It's the union of the physical, the mental, the emotional, the spiritual. You don't have to overexert your body with going to the gym every day, because that's another extra stress factor that you really don't want. When the objective is not to be fit, is to gain health, yoga is the best exercise for that. And in fact, how many people have I met that have told me that yoga saved their lives? Because it also helps to release the thoughts, releases the emotions, and it gains a lot of confidence as well, because you're improving in all postures, you're gaining that mobility and flexibility. And that's why I thought this is definitely the second key to longevity. And now you know the importance of having a good diet and having that movement with awareness. So, what we see on the third key is the purpose. How to make sure that this is all put into place to achieve your goals easily and successfully. So, firstly, what is purpose? Purpose is the intention for which an action is performed or not performed. It's the goal of an action. So the important thing is to ask yourself, what do you want? Okay, fine, I want this, but how will I get to that? And the key thing is to ask yourself, why do I want to get there? Why do I want that? Because that will be the key to success. And I will show you a couple of examples which I think will help you understand. So the first example is, say, I want to regain the vitality I had 10 years ago. How? By correcting my eating habits and practicing yoga. And why do I want this? Because I want to spend more quality time with my friends, my children, or I want to help those in my community. And example number two, I will show you a personal example, which I did 5 years ago, which is, what do I want? I want to consume less animal products. Okay, how will I do it? By veganizing some of my recipes little by little, and by researching more about it. And why do I want to do it? And this is key. It's because I want to go to bed every night knowing that I have not contributed to the suffering of any innocent beings. And because I also know that in this way, I am helping the health of the planet, which in turn will create a healthy environment for me. And of course, that brought my success. And there's also studies about this. It's been shown that creating goals alters the structure of the brain, so you act in ways that help you reach those goals. And more difficult goals get better results, surprisingly, up to 90% better results than just giving yourself really easy goals. Writing and sharing your goals with people also helps the success rate for achieving those goals. And there's also less negative effects because living a purposeful life causes lower levels of depression, boredom, loneliness, and anxiety. And it also causes positive psychological states, which are optimism, hope, and life satisfaction. So honestly, it's all gains, gains, gains. Even physical effects are shown, which are lower levels of cortisol, the stress hormone, of Alzheimer's disease, cholesterol, overweight, and less inflammation. So, knowing all of these, now I want to ask you, what is your purpose? Why are you watching this class? I would like you to please, one more time if you want, you can close your eyes for a second to think about it. And I want you to write it down in one sentence on your notes. So I will give you a few seconds to think about this and to write it down. Thank you so much for being here, and I'm really looking forward to meeting you. So feel free to contact me with any questions anytime. Stay healthy, and a heartfelt thanks again.